What's going on? Let's talk about Able Carry's Max EDC and how it stacks up against Aer's new City Pack Pro 2. When it comes to the EDC/travel hybrid category, the bag to do it all, these two are easily some of the most recommended options, and justifiably so. I've used both quite extensively in both everyday carry, travel, for sport, as a dad EDC bag, pretty much everything in between. I'll share my thoughts on what the Able Carry does better than the Aer and vice versa, what scenarios is each one best suited for, and ultimately, I'll share which one I would keep if I could only keep one. Quick call out, I've done dedicated videos for each of these bags, so if you want a more detailed walkthrough or like getting into the nitty-gritty of the pros and cons of each, I'll include links below, but let's get into it. City Pack Pro is 24 liters, the Max EDC is 26 liters. In the base fabric option, the Aer Cordura one is 209, the ripstop version of the Max EDC is 260, and then in X-Pack, the Aer is 239 and the Able Carry is 280. So there's a $40 to $50 difference depending on the fabric option. Something also to keep in mind. Considering that these two bags are EDC/travel hybrids in the sense that they're compact enough for everyday carry, but spacious enough that you can also use them for one bag travel. At a very high level, the City Pack Pro 2 is the better EDC option in my opinion, and the Max EDC is the better travel option. And here's why. The TLDR on where the City Pack Pro 2 wins is that it has a more practical size and weight for EDC. It has better quick access for tech essentials and smaller things, and it has a top-down access layout. Where the Max EDC wins is that it's just a more versatile bag beyond EDC compared to the City Pack Pro 2. It has better access to bulkier things, and the fact that if you were to get it in the X-Pack variant, you'd be committing to fully PU-coated zippers everywhere on the Aer, whereas the X-Pack version of the Max EDC comes fully without PU-coated zippers, which is my preference. When it comes to EDC, size and weight are two really important factors for me. The Max EDC has a stated volume that's 2 liters larger than the Aer, so keep that in mind. But if you're comparing X-Pack to X-Pack versions, this one is 3.4 pounds, whereas this one is 2.7. Comfort-wise, considering the fact that the Able Carry Max EDC is heavier, I still consider the harness system slightly more comfortable than the Aer one. The weight is something more that you feel when you're picking it up. I actually ended up taking the frame sheet off of the Max EDC as well as my Daily Plus because I actually find it more comfortable. Without it, it feels more than protected enough. It also like shaves a little bit of weight as well, but that's not the reason why I did it. But the more important factor for me, being 5'8", 140 pounds, I have a medium build, is just the footprint of the bag on my back as I'm carrying it. And in the City Pack Pro 2 definitely wins, at least for me, that I don't have like a massive frame. It doesn't feel overkill in any scenario, even if I'm just using it as a day bag walking around town. The City Pack Pro 2 is shorter, also depth-wise, the depth on the City Pack Pro 2 is like pretty consistent top to bottom, whereas on the Max EDC, and right now both of these bags are empty, it tapers off on the Max EDC, but it just looks bulkier on my bag. In a lot of scenarios, I feel like it's kind of overkill for what I'm carrying in it. The second thing I found is that when it comes to quick access to tech essentials, smaller things, the City Pack Pro 2 also wins. You've got here, the admin pocket in the front is really easy to access. And then you've got 2 stretch mesh sleeves where I keep my charger, my mobile battery bank, cable, the essentials that I would want quick access to. And then beyond that, you also have another quick access pocket here. This is where I keep AirPods, sunglasses, things like that. If you compare it to the Max EDC, as far as like quick access to smaller things, you have this side pocket, which is probably the most underutilized pocket for me personally because of where it is on the bag. And then the other 2 places where you have organization for smaller things are in the laptop compartment, which is in the rear part of the bag, not as accessible as it is on the Aer. And then here you've got 3 like really nice stretch mesh slip pockets. And you can technically, like I do, very oftentimes just leave this top pocket open, because if not, it's one additional step. But when I get into the orientation of the bag, the fact that a lot of it is crossbody, the luggage pass-through orientation, depending on what you have in here, if you don't have it zipped, things do have a tendency of slipping out. So I do zip it depending on when or where I'm using it, and then that just creates an extra step. The other place that you have easy access for smaller things is here, but again, this is not as easy or as comfortable as on the Aer, which is on the front and middle, whereas here it's more on the rear part of the bag. You also have Aer's front stash pocket, which is candidly maybe like my least favorite part of the bag, just because it's kind of an awkward space where it's too big for a lot of small things, but not big enough for a lot of bulky things. So I end up not using it as often. But again, like for small to medium sized things, another place where you have quick and easy access to on the front of the bag. The last thing that I prefer in the Aer City Pack Pro 2 over the Max EDC is the fact that all of the organizational layout is designed around a top-down access. So whether it's the front admin panel, of course, the main compartment, laptop compartment, as well as this quick access pocket here, the luggage pass-through is vertically oriented, and the bag just stands on its own better than the Max EDC. The Max EDC right now is also empty, with the exception of my toiletry kit that has some weight to it, just to ensure that it stays standing for the video, whereas the Aer is standing on its own without me manipulating anything. Now, I totally get, for like a lot of people, when it comes to their bag, they don't like to take it off. Maybe they live in a place where they're commuting, they're in tight places, coffee shops, subways, trains, things like that, where it is more practical just swinging the bag around and then just having the, access of a lot of the bag being crossbody, where you have that crossbody pocket here, another crossbody access pocket here. And for that reason is likely why Able Carry went with a horizontally oriented luggage pass-through, so that when you're accessing a lot of your things, it's just easier in that horizontal setup. But on the same token, when you look at the dedicated laptop compartment, this is just top-down access. And then you also have some top-down as well. I do like the consistency in Aer in the sense that it's going to be ideal in this setup. While I appreciate having the ability of swinging the bag around and snagging stuff while I have it worn, my natural tendency has always been just removing the bag, getting what I need out of it, or having it in a luggage pass-through or in the seat under me in an airplane. And when it's in any of those configurations, I just enjoy the access to my things the way that the Aer has it laid out. Now, even though I prefer the City Pack Pro 2 as an EDC bag, I find that the Max EDC is a more versatile bag beyond EDC. So when it comes to being in dad mode, where I'm carrying for myself plus my kids, or as a gym hybrid, things like that, where I'm putting bulkier things in here, that's where the Max EDC truly thrives. A lot of that roots from the space in the main compartment and also the access to the main compartment. So you'll notice is that even though these are both clamshell style opening bags, the Max EDC has more of like a beaver flap where the zippers are oriented towards you, whereas on the City Pack Pro 2, they're going to the side. Getting in and out of the main compartment is much more satisfying and easier to do, in my opinion, on the Max EDC. It's a combination of that front-facing beaver flap style zipper, and also the fact that on the City Pack Pro 2, a nitpick I have is that the front admin panel zipper is stitched on like literally right next to the main compartment zipper. So if the zippers here are close to this one, there's been a lot of times where I accidentally unzip the front admin panel when I'm trying to get into the main compartment and vice versa. And then space-wise, as expected, there is a 2-liter volume difference between the two bags. But you'll notice on the Able Carry that it has a gusseted design that tapers off and gets pretty deep here towards the bottom. slimmer towards the top. From a one bag travel standpoint, it just fits more in here comfortably without making other areas of the bag feel as tight. The City Pack Pro 2 just starts getting tight a lot quicker, and then you just feel it, right? Like this pocket here in the front starts getting even less useful, whereas the volume on the front stash pocket on the Max EDC does share some of that main compartment space, but you have so much of it that it takes quite a bit before you get to that point where things start getting tight and uncomfortable. So that leads me to the second thing that I really love about the Max EDC, where the easy access for smaller things is more optimal on the City Pack Pro 2. This front stash pocket on the Max EDC is a delightful cave of space, which allows you to segment bulkier things and access them a lot better. So if you're the kind of person that when it comes to organizing your smaller things, you just carry a tech pouch, but your preference is just having like a big open space or a couple big open spaces where you can just throw bigger things, this front stash pocket, like, you can't even compare it to the Aer one. It's significantly more useful, right? If you look at the Aer one, if you want to throw something like over-the-ear headphones on the Aer one, does it fit? They do, but it's like you have to wrestle with it quite a bit, and this is also with the bag empty. So if I've got a jacket in there and a few other things, I'm not even gonna bother trying to put those in here. Whereas here, like, it eats them up, no problem. I can just grab them. This fits shoes comfortably, layers, tech pouches is great, right? Like, you can fit smaller tech pouches in the Aer, but this is like the Evergoods Cap 1. It's too tall, doesn't fit. My Belroy compact tech pouch fits in there, but here it's like you don't even have to think about it. It goes in super easily. So if you go from work to a gym, being able to throw shoes in here or an extra pair of clothes without even having to get into the main compartment, worrying about dirtying it if you're putting shoes in, it's a really, really useful pocket that's incredibly easy to get in and out of. So that to me is a huge distinction, is what are you gonna be carrying most of the time? If it's just a jacket and then mainly tech essentials for work, you're not gonna be using it for one bag travel. I like the City Pack Pro 2 a little better, but if you're gonna be carrying a lot more things and you want easy access to those bulky things, the Max EDC wins there. The last thing that I really appreciate about the Max EDC is that in the X-Pack variant, you don't get PU-coated zippers. Most of the more like waterproof fabric options come paired with PU-coated zippers. There is the component of like durability, but for me, like the big thing is just how smooth non-PU-coated RC YKK zippers are compared to PU-coated ones. In the Aer Ballistic Nylon version, you get standard zippers on the main front admin and like the quick access pocket on the top, but then laptop compartment and then front, you still get PU-coated zippers. If you go X-Pack or Ultra, you're PU-coated zippers everywhere. I love me a smooth zipper, and just having that here, I've gotten destroyed in torrential downpours with the Max EDC. The zippers have a DWR coating. It doesn't last very long. You can apply it, but the X-Pack material and the standard zippers have kept everything dry. So for me, I prefer the non-PU coated zips. The full zipper experience on the Max EDC is delightful. This is a really satisfying bag to use. The main compartment is, I want to say, like my favorite main compartment zipper. The fact that they're more like front facing, the way they're stitched on with the X-Pack rigidity gives you like good leverage. Super smooth laptop compartment. All the zippers feel really, really good. Pilgrim churned butter smoothness rating on the Max EDC, I give it a 9.4, which is like maybe the second highest I've given a bag. I want to say the Simple Commuter is still the highest, and that one uses PU-coated zippers, and I don't know how they managed to make such frictionless, smooth zippers. But then the Aer City Pack Pro 2, I give it an 8.8, which is also still very good. The main things that detract from it being a 9 or higher is the fact that you've got two PU-coated zippers that you really like need these pull tabs to do, and the fact that these two zippers, I do end up confusing them from time to time, depending on where the main compartment zippers are. Beyond those main points of differentiation, a few other considerations. One, the Aer City Pack Pro 2 has a vertically oriented luggage pass-through, whereas on the Max EDC, it's horizontal. A lot of that comes from the fact that the Max EDC, you have the front stash pocket, which is such an important part of the bag, and it's a crossbody access ideally, based on how it's laid out. And then you have also another like side access pocket here, whereas on the City Pack Pro 2, everything is top down in terms of access. It makes a lot more sense for it to be vertically oriented. That is very much a preference thing, but I'm definitely on team vertical top-down orientation when it comes to accessing my things, as well as how I like it to sit on top of the suitcase. While my preference has generally leaned towards external water bottle holders in the sense that it's easier access, one less step, they typically don't eat into the main compartment space. The Max EDC water bottle holder has kind of changed my perspective. Not to say that I'm internal over external necessarily, but it's executed so well in the sense that it keeps a very clean, minimal look. The water bottle is not sticking out. The peace of mind that as you're going through security or you have the bag underneath your seat, that water bottle is not going anywhere. The zipper here is wonderful. You have a stretch mesh gusset that expands. And in terms of what fits in here, this is a 32-liter hydro flask. And when you don't have the bag super packed out on the inside, it fits like really comfortably like in there. Whereas on the Aer, if you carry a 32 ounce or bigger, the Aer, it's empty right now and it fits, but it's a tight fit. Like it's not easy to get in and out of. Of course, over time, the elastic is gonna stretch out. But like in my Aer Tech Pack that has very similar water bottle holder, that elastic loosens over time. It still works, but yeah, it just doesn't feel great having that loose piece of webbing in there. For me, I typically carry a 24-ounce water bottle, which fits very, very comfortably in both. But yeah, for anyone that carries a larger water bottle, that's an important consideration. Thirdly is the laptop compartment. So on the Aer, they're both nicely padded. I think that from a padding standpoint, the Aer wins a little bit, but you've got, in addition to the main laptop sleeve, you have across from it another sleeve that you can actually fit another laptop if you travel with work and personal. But there's also a great place to put in a tablet. That's where I keep my tablet. I love it because when I'm going through airport security, it's just one unzip, take out the two things I need to take out. And you also get, see, I literally just unzipped the wrong one. And then you also get this stretch mesh sleeve here, also a place for a tablet. Whereas on the Max EDC, the laptop compartment is just one open space, which is like a sleeve for one thing. So if you carry two laptops, unless you want them touching one another, you're really only limited to one laptop. And then if you want to have a tablet as well, then you can't have it in the same place, which is a minor nitpick for me with the Max EDC, that when I'm going through security, I have to take the laptop out of this pocket and then I have to take the tablet from that pocket. And yeah, when you're traveling with kids, like I like to optimize every single part of my security experience because that's usually like the most chaotic part of being at the airport, and just like one additional step that is eliminated with the City Pack Pro 2. And then the last thing is in terms of the strap adjustability. They both use a premium webbing. The webbing on the Able Carry feels nicer, it's thicker, it's that airplane style material. And it's not only thicker, but it's wider. And if you're like me and you adjust your straps quite a bit, like every time I put it on, I like it to be less certain tightness. And obviously that's gonna vary depending on what I'm wearing, if I've got a thick jacket or not. And just loosening and tightening is incredibly easy on the Max EDC, whereas on the Aer, it's thinner, it's narrower, and that was one of my nitpicks with it, a minor one, but still something that I did notice, that it's just not as effortless to loosen and tighten these straps. But on that same token, The sternum strap adjustability is better on the Aer in the sense that it's just a buckle on a piece of webbing that just easily glides up and down. So you can adjust the height, because also if you're wearing a thicker jacket versus not, the ideal place for the sternum strap changes. Whereas on the Able Carry, it hooks on 2 little loops here, and adjusting the height of the sternum strap is something I just simply don't do on the Max EDC. I figured out where it works for me the most across all scenarios, and I just leave it there because it really is just not an easy thing to do. And lastly, since I'm on the topic, they both use magnetic sternum strap buckles, but I prefer the one on the Max EDC more in the sense that it has this button here. So it's really easy to just push it and remove it. Whereas on the Aer, also magnetic, works really well. It's like a little angle mechanism that I've gotten like really used to, but the push of the button's like a little more intuitive for me. Since I'm here talking about straps, I think comfort is negligible for me in the sense that the Max EDC harness system feels that it conforms a little bit better around my body, but this is 3.4 pounds, this is 2.7 pounds. I feel like I've walked around with both for extended periods of time, and comfort wise they're both really, really great. I think so far for me, like the most comfortable bags I've worn are the Able Carry Max EDC first, and then the Bellroy Transit Work Pack Pro, and this are kind of tied like very slightly behind this, but they're all incredibly comfortable bags, and I wouldn't pick one over the other because of the comfort. Now, final thoughts. In a sick and twisted world where I could only keep one of these 2 bags, I would lean gently, and this is so hard to say, a little towards the City Pack Pro 2. And it mainly comes down to how I'm using the bags. So I'd say like 90% of the time I'm in EDC mode, where really space-wise what I need is primarily tech essentials. I want a bag that's more compact for my frame, where the Max EDC I think looks a little bulky for everyday carry, and this is perfect. I value the fact that it stands up, and my natural tendency from an access of the bag standpoint is top down. So all of those things, like the way I interact with this bag, is more organic than it is with the Max EDC. Whereas in the 10% of the time when I'm in like dad/travel mode, having that additional space in the Max EDC is really valuable. I just find myself being in this scenario a lot more than in this scenario. I think like design language wise, also user experience, like how satisfying the bag is to use, I definitely lean towards the Able Carry. But the good news is that I don't live in a sick world where I have to get rid of one of these 2 bags. And I totally get that spending $200-300 on a backpack is a lot of money. So if you haven't like fallen into the delightfully dark rabbit hole that is the world of bags, and you're just looking for your next bag that's going to replace the bag that you've had for the past 8-10 years, then that's why I would lean in this direction. But if you anticipate that you're going to be using it a lot or a decent bit for one bag travel, or you carry pretty heavily and you have a fairly large frame where this will actually work with you a lot better than it works with me for everyday carry, then I would say go with the Max EDC. The beauty of it for me is that I have a wife. So when we travel, we take 2 bags, and the setup of having this as like my tech essential, organized, quick access / day bag, and having the Max EDC be the kid bag that has their layers, toys, snacks, all the things that take up a lot of space, is a really good setup. And then when I get to my destination, I have the ability to use one or the other depending on what we're doing for that day, how much stuff we want to carry. And that's why I have no intention of getting rid of the Max EDC. Prior to City Pack Pro 2, our setup was the Max EDC with Able Carry's Daily Plus, which is a 21-liter bag. It made for a good tech organizer, smaller day bag at destination paired with this. But with that being said, it follows a lot of the design language that the Max EDC does, in the sense that it's the crossbody access in terms of tech essentials. I like the organization, the standability of the City Pack Pro 2, which is why it's essentially replaced the Daily Plus, even though I still use it for specific things. If you're planning on traveling with it as a companion to a suitcase or a duffel versus one bagging it, then the City Pack Pro 2 is a better option. If you're planning on carrying a lot of bulky things and you don't care as much about quick access to smaller things, the Max EDC is going to be a better option. And lastly, if you find yourself gravitating towards a bag that all of the access is top down versus a combination of crossbody and top down, then that's where one or the two is going to be better suited for you. And also depends on how much you care about if a bag looks bulky on you or not. But for me, admittedly, it's a little superficial, but I just prefer the look of the Aer City Pack Pro 2 on my back, not so much the actual design of the bag, but just because it has better proportions relative to the size of my body. To recap, if you're going to be using it mainly for EDC and you plan on storing mainly smaller things that you want quick access to, go with the City Pack Pro 2. If you anticipate you're going to want to be using it for one bag travel or as a gym hybrid bag or carrying for your kids in addition to an EDC bag and you don't mind it looking a little bulky on you, then go with the Max EDC. But other than that, best of luck. Hopefully these two bags come in stock, because at time of recording, between tariffs for the Max EDC and just this one being sold out, it's going to take a little bit before they're back in action, but hopefully this gives you a little clarity around your decision-making process. Best of luck and cheers.